Thank you for coming and chatting with me today. This is fantastic. It's really fantastic. And I have to tell you, I really didn't know much about the story. I didn't know anything about John du Pont, and you know, I'm not really up on my wrestling, so I really didn't know much about it. When did it kind of come to you, the story, and how did you, what was the origin for you to bring it to the big screen?
I was, my first film, which was a documentary called The Cruise, was being released on DVD by Lionsgate. Yeah. This is after Capote had come out. And they asked me to do like a DVD signing in a store, which is something that, maybe 20 people show up to. I mean, it's a small little thing. And a complete stranger approached me with an envelope that contained articles about this story. I'd never heard about the story, and this person just handed it to me and said, "I think."
Just randomly, like.
Well, he says, I think you're going to want to do this story. I thought Capote was great, and I think you're going to want to do this.
And there you go. And then it just got your attention, and thought, I'm going to pursue it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought of nothing of it, and a month later, I'm throwing stuff out. What is this? And I take the article out, and I was like, oh, I get it. That's what I'm going to do.
I'm going to do it. And then your casting choices. Let's start with Steve Carell, because, I've met this man. I've interviewed him. One of the nicest guys on the planet. Actually, all three of those guys are the nicest guys on the planet. And from the minute you see him on screen, of course, kind of unrecognizable and everything, but the creep factor is there from the very beginning, and you just don't know what's going on in this guy's mind.
Yeah.
Why did you choose Steve for this? How did you envision that he'd be so good in this role?
Well, Steve is a comic actor, which means that there's always something going on that he doesn't show you. And a lot of comics are dark, and I'm not saying Steve is dark, but Steve is dark. Maybe.
Okay.
And I'd known him a little bit socially, a little bit, mutual friends. And he is one of these people, I just have this feeling, you have feelings about somebody, like that they've got their public self and they've got their private reality. And when I spoke to him about the part, he was deadly serious. He's super intelligent. He understands, what this is and how a person's psyche can be twisted, and was just very committed and serious from the start. And I thought, well, if it could work with him, there's no better solution to the casting, because the way people perceive him is somewhat safe and benign.
Yeah.
Like, he's not capable of doing the things that this character does, which is what people thought of this character too.
Right.
It's a true story, and what this man did was beyond what anybody thought was possible. And so Steve seemed like a natural.
Well, when you look back at the history, of funny people who take on serious roles, 99% of them are extraordinary.
Yes.
What is it about comedians when they take on, you look at even like Jim Carrey when he takes on serious roles, or Adam Sandler, and on and on and on. And
Jonah Hill.
What is it?
Jerry Lewis.
You can just go back and forever.
Alistair Sim, maybe the greatest of all in A Christmas Carol.
What is it about comedians that make damn good actors, like serious actors?
I don't want to generalize, but I think they feel things really, really deeply, and I think it often is the case that their humor sprouts from,
Yeah.
A not light place.
I think this would make a great film, a great documentary. Like, honest to God, to follow these comedians and follow their path. I think we need to talk after this. Mark and Channing, again. You know, Mark Ruffalo can do anything. You know, I don't know if you've seen his other film here at the festival, Infinitely Polar Bear. Phenomenal, you know, bipolar dad. He's the freaking Hulk. You know, I interviewed him for his first movie ever here in Toronto, and I've been following him ever since. Fantastic. And then Channing pulls this out of his butt. You know, my goodness, like, were you kind of looking at these actors going, wow, I've really hit the jackpot with this film?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they are the perfect. Not only is each of them perfect for their roles, but together, the chemistry of them on screen, but also on the set. You know, they're three very different people, and they each have a very different process. They're different kinds of actors. You know, each of them approaches it differently, and yet who they were to each other, you know, who Mark and Channing became to each other as they rehearsed, you know, and trained for starting 7 months out, and you know, what they came to mean to each other as people, and what Mark Ruffalo's effect on the entire set is, and you know, the oddity of Carell in this makeup, in this role, and how that charged the environment. Each of them, I can't imagine anybody else in these roles, but I also think the part that you can't see, which is just the dynamism of people working together, could not have been better. I can't imagine how the film would have become what it wanted to be without, you know, that chemistry.
And they really threw themselves into the wrestling.
Completely.
I mean, I understand that they got hurt a little bit too.
Yeah.
What was, you know, to watch them do that and really embody these guys, you know?
I mean, they were really like, they were like real wrestlers in that they never complained about it, and I never really heard about these injuries until afterwards.
Yeah, because they kept it in. They don't want to disappoint you, you know? Troopers.
But also they're surrounded by everybody else in the movie, all of the other wrestlers in the movie are real wrestlers, and Olympic wrestlers and NCAA champions, and like, you know, the real deal. And for, you know, these actors to like do a take and hurt themselves and complain about it, it wasn't going to happen. But then, you know, I mean, as recently as yesterday, we're like on a panel and Channing's kind of going over his injuries. I'm like, oh, I didn't hear about that one. And Channing especially got you know, knocked around.
Oh yeah. You like to gravitate towards telling the true stories, which, you know, you do them so well. Is that something that you just want to keep doing, or it just kind of happens?
I don't know. I think it just kind of happens. But I do like taking a story and really examining it and knowing that there are truths to discover, not just to invent. I mean, this is a story that I think took a long time to get past certain layers and get to some understandings, because a lot of the truths within this story were guarded pretty protectively, and it's, you know, it's very similar to making a fiction film, but at the same time, there's something about having the resources to go back and examine and really inquire and discover the thing that nobody would invent.
Yeah, well, you've done a terrific job on this, Bennett. Really, I could talk to you for hours about just film in general.